As someone who mostly talks about food, entertainment, storytelling, and frequently refers to having spent years working in all manner of restaurants, one question I've been asked a lot recently is, have you seen The Bear, the immensely popular, critically acclaimed TV series about the struggles of an aspiring chef in the mad world that is the restaurant kitchen? That's gotta be right up your alley, right? In a word, no. The Bear is not for me. And from the 1.5 episodes I've actually bothered to watch, it isn't because it does a poor job of replicating or dramatizing what it's like to work in a professional kitchen. It's because that world, as much as I am able to recall, is as close to hell as the industrialized world can conjure. It is a world of broken lives, broken dreams, broken people, and madness incarnate. A world which I would like to revisit about as much as I would like to have more cancer. So this is why I can't watch The Bear. But before we get into that, I want to first give thanks to this episode's sponsor, Harvard. Yes, that Harvard. Because if you love a great story with gripping drama, you can go to their bookstore at the link in the description and check out Noirlum, the long and short of it. Noirlum is my noir detective murder mystery graphic novel set in 1920s Harlem and full to burst with intrigue, murder, and good jazz. Go to the link in the description and grab your copy today.
I'm gonna talk to Mark.
Now get the fuck off my expo chef now! Get the fuck off! Thank you! We're firing 76 beasts!
So, how am I going to review a TV show that I don't actually watch? Well, I guess I can't technically review it, but I can answer some larger questions about its portrayal of a world that I know quite well, which some fans of the show might find insightful. Starting with the main question, is the restaurant world as insane as the show makes it seem? So to answer this question, I'm going to tell you about 3 things that happened during my time spent working in restaurants. 1. A waitress was killed by one of the cooks. 2. A cook was killed by one of the bartenders. 3. A chef owner lost everything, skipped town to avoid his debts, and was found in a beach town working as a chef under a different identity. Now, you might think that all sounds like an absurd, unbelievable array of stories collected over a period of decades working in the food service industry. But not only are all 3 of those stories true, they all happened while working at the same restaurant over a period of just a few years. A serious restaurant is essentially a continual hurricane with whirling gusts of sharpened steel, boiling oil, freely available alcohol, drugs, hormones, and egos. So yes, it is all as insane as you can possibly imagine, and to a degree that you probably can't. So while I can't dispute whether or not The Bear is realistic, in this case, realism is immaterial to the show's quality. And besides, it is not why I don't watch The Bear.
You're terrible at this. You're no good at it. Go faster, motherfucker. Keep going faster. Why are you so slow? Why are you so fucking slow? Why? You were bullshit. You were talentless. Say fucking hands.
Hands!
You should be dead.
At this point, the chef who screams and curses at his kitchen staff is almost a cliche, known to most audiences through reality shows like Kitchen Nightmares and Hell's Kitchen, where Gordon Ramsay belittles and abuses those beneath him like a drill sergeant. And also like a drill sergeant, those who emerge from this treatment look at their chef with that same level of respect for making them tougher, better, and more resilient.
What's Gordon like in real life?
Powerhouse.
Is he as sweary and aggressive?
Yes. But I'm used to it. I've seen chefs all make some models. As long as you have respect for me, I don't care how you talk. There's no disrespect. A lot of people that are weak will be like, oh, he's this. It's like, no, you've not been in the industry.
But what often gets lost in this workplace economy is that it only focuses on the relationship between mentor and mentee, forgetting that a professional kitchen is a machine comprised of many moving parts. So while a drill sergeant addresses a group of recruits, each of whom are of the same rank and status, a restaurant contains not just the sous chef being belittled, but also servers, bussers, runners, hosts, bartenders, line cooks that work different stations, prep cooks, and dishwashers. So any treatment coming from the chef owner will inevitably trickle down and throughout the kitchen, past its doors, and into every part of the restaurant. To give an example, one Friday night the sous chef had made a dinner special to get rid of some excess fish by roasting the fillets before topping them with crab imperial and finishing it with a truffle cream sauce. The chef owner came in, saw this, and proceeded to rip into the sous chef in front of everyone about how this dish made no sense and that none of the flavors went well together. Then he left, as he had another restaurant and a catered event to check on. The sous chef, now in charge of the kitchen again, began taking his frustrations out on one of the line cooks, getting on him about anything and everything he could to recover from being humiliated. Then, in the middle of the Friday night rush, that line cook decided he'd had enough and walked out. The rest of the kitchen, now struggling to keep up, began taking their frustrations out on the serving staff, and so on and so on. From what little I've seen of The Bear, the show handles this well, and even pushes back on the idea that this sort of treatment is healthy. I'm only arguing that, having seen how decidedly nuclear this environment can be, and oftentimes by design, it's not something I want to revisit.
I got stabbed. Not right now.
The other part that gets lost when comparing a chef to a drill sergeant is that, well, you're not a fucking drill sergeant. A professional kitchen is not a battlefield. A busy Saturday night is not war. A drill sergeant is someone who uses abuse and cruelty to ready people for things that are so unspeakable that they can hardly be put into words. Yes, being in the weeds is stressful. Yes, a kitchen can be chaotic when the tickets are piling up. But how arrogant do you have to be to compare being asked for a salmon Oscar sauce on the side on the fly to risking your life and watching friends die? How arrogant do you have to be to compare the hard line between the civilized world and barbarism to providing a meal for someone's 30th wedding anniversary? I am someone who could talk about food forever. I think of food as an endlessly fascinating insight into culture, history, sociology, family, friends, and everything, everywhere, and everyone in between. There is a certain indiscernible beauty to consider how human beings have gone from finding sustenance to survive, thrive, and grow. How that evolved into finding ways to make unpleasant but copious things taste better, become more pleasurable, and form bonds with others over that process. How cultures interact with one another to create new and exciting experiences on the palate. But like with most anything, there comes a point where one's relationship with it becomes glaringly unhealthy. Because to me, a lot of the beauty found in food comes from the shared experiences, not from meticulously crafting perfectly constructed bites on a plate that almost no one can afford. In my years since working in restaurants, none of those people I worked with who took pride in what they made it. None of them opened their own restaurants, and most of them aren't even working in them anymore. I check in on them from Facebook time to time, and they're mostly selling cars and raising families. They've moved on from that world, and maybe that's for the better. But when I think back on the professional kitchen, I remember it as a bizarre nexus point between those who have little and those who have much. It's this strange place where joy and splendors are created by those who can only get a taste of it to make sure it's good enough for those who will enjoy them. Where people are plugged into a world, but only so far as to create the fruits of a life they will never attain for themselves. And that, I think, is why I can't enjoy The Bear.